Legendary Passages, Episode 62, Jocasta's Children. Oedipus, Eteocles, and Polynices, from the Library of Apollodorus. Here we end our segment on Oedipus, with the tale of the Seven Against Thebes. Jocasta's Children, a legendary passage from the Library of Apollodorus, translated by J.G. Frazer. After Amphion's death, Laius succeeded to the kingdom, and he married a daughter of Menoeceus. Some say that she was Jocasta, and some that she was Epicasta. The oracle had warned him not to beget a son, for the son that should be begotten would kill his father. Nevertheless, flushed with wine, he had intercourse with his wife. And when the babe was born, he pierced the child's ankles with brooches, and gave it to a herdsman to expose. But the herdsman exposed it on Cithaeron, and the neatherds of Polybus, king of Corinth, found the infant and brought it to his wife Periboea. She adopted him and passed him off as her own, and after she had healed his ankles, she called him Oedipus, giving him that name on account of his swollen feet. When the boy grew up and excelled his fellows in strength, they spitefully twitted him with being suppositious. He inquired of Periboea, but could learn nothing. So he went to Delphi and inquired about his true parents. The god told him not to go to his native land, because he would murder his father and lie with his mother. On hearing that, and believing himself to be the son of his nominal parents, he left Corinth, and riding in a chariot through Phocis, he fell in with Laius, driving in a chariot in a certain narrow road. And when Polyphontes, the herald of Laius, ordered him to make way, and killed one of his horses because he disobeyed and delayed, Oedipus, in a rage, killed both Polyphontes and Laius, and arrived in Thebes. Laius was buried by Damasistratus, king of Plataea, and Creon, son of Menoeceus, succeeded to the kingdom. In his reign a heavy calamity befell Thebes, for Hera sent the Sphinx, whose mother was Echidna, and her father Typhon, and she had the face of a woman, the breast and feet and tail of a lion, and the wings of a bird. And having learned a riddle from the Muses, she sat on Mount Pisium, and propounded it to the Thebans. And the riddle was this: what is that which has one voice, and yet becomes 4-footed, and 2-footed, and 3-footed? Now the Thebans were in possession of an oracle, which declared that they should be rid of the Sphinx whenever they had read her riddle. So they often met and discussed the answer, and when they could not find it, the Sphinx used to snatch away one of them and gobble him up. When many had perished, and last of all Creon's son Haemon, Creon made proclamation that to him who should read the riddle he would give both the kingdom and the wife of Laius. On hearing that, Oedipus found the solution, declaring that the riddle of the Sphinx referred to man. For as a babe he is 4-footed, going on 4 limbs. As an adult he is 2-footed, and as an old man he gets besides a 3rd support in a staff. So the Sphinx threw herself from the citadel, and Oedipus both succeeded to the kingdom, and, unwittingly, married his mother, and begat sons by her, Polynices and Eteocles, and daughters, Ismene and Antigone. But some say the children were born to him by Eurygania, daughter of Hyperphus. When the secret afterwards came to light, Jocasta hanged herself in a noose, and Oedipus was driven from Thebes, after he had put out his eyes and cursed his sons, who saw him cast out of the city without lifting a hand to help him. And having come with Antigone to Colonus in Attica, where is the precinct of the Eumenides, he sat down there as a suppliant, was kindly received by Theseus, and died not long afterwards. Now Eteocles and Polynices made a compact with each other concerning the kingdom, and resolved that each should rule alternately for a year at a time. Some say that Polynices was the first to rule, and that after a year he handed over the kingdom to Eteocles. But some say that Eteocles was the first to rule, and would not hand over the kingdom. So, being banished from Thebes, Polynices came to Argos, taking with him the necklace and the robe. The king of Argos was Adrastus, son of Laius, and Polynices went up to his palace by night, and engaged in a fight with Tydeus, son of Oeneus, who had fled from Calydon. At the sudden outcry, Adrastus appeared and parted them, and remembering the words of a certain seer, who told him to yoke his daughters in marriage to a boar and a lion, he accepted them both as bridegrooms, because they had on their shields, the one the forepart of a boar, and the other the forepart of a lion. And Tydeus married Dipyle, and Polynices married Argia. And Adrastus promised that he would restore them both to their native lands. At first he was eager to march against Thebes, and he mustered the chiefs. But Amphion, son of Eteocles, being a seer and foreseeing that all who joined in the expedition, except Adrastus, were destined to perish, shrank from it himself and discouraged the rest. However, Polynices went to Oedipus, son of Elector, and begged to know how Amphion could be compelled to go to the war. He answered that it could be done if Eteocles got the necklace. Now Amphion had forbidden Eteocles to accept gifts from Polynices, but Polynices gave her the necklace, and begged her to persuade Amphion to go to the war. For the decision lay with her, because once, when a difference arose between him and Adrastus, he made it up with him, and swore to let Eteocles decide any future dispute he might have with Adrastus. Accordingly, when war was to be made on Thebes, and the measure was advocated by Adrastus and opposed by Amphion, Eteocles accepted the necklace and persuaded him to march with Adrastus. Thus forced to go to the war, Amphion laid his commands on his sons that, when they were grown up, they should slay their mother and march against Thebes. Having mustered an army with 7 leaders, Adrastus hastened to war on Thebes. The leaders were these: Adrastus, son of Laius, Amphion, son of Eteocles, Capaneus, son of Hipponous, Hippomedon, son of Aristomachus, but some say of Laius. These came from Argos, but Polynices, son of Oedipus, came from Thebes. Tydeus, son of Oeneus, was Aetolian. Parthenipeus, son of Melanion, was an Arcadian. Some, however, do not reckon Tydeus and Polynices among them, but included Eteocles, son of Iphis, and Menoeceus in the list of the 7. Having come to Nemea, of which Lycurgus was king, they sought for water, and Hypsipyle showed them the way to a spring, leaving behind an infant boy, Apheltes, whom she nursed, a child of Eurydice and Lycurgus. For the Lemnian women, afterwards learning that Thaus had been saved alive, put him to death, and sold Hypsipyle into slavery. Wherefore she served in the house of Lycurgus as a purchased bondwoman. But while she showed the spring, the abandoned boy was killed by a serpent. When Adrastus and his party appeared on the scene, they slew the serpent and buried the boy. But Amphion told them that the sign foreboded the future, and they called the boy Archemorus. They celebrated the Nemean games in his honor, and Adrastus won the horse race, Eteocles the foot race, Tydeus the boxing match, Amphion the leaping and quoit throwing match, Laodocus the javelin throwing match, Polynices the wrestling match, and Parthenipeus the archery match. When they came to Cithaeron, they sent Tydeus to tell Eteocles in advance that he must cede the kingdom to Polynices, as they had agreed among themselves. As Eteocles paid no heed to the message, Tydeus, by way of putting the Thebans to the proof, challenged them to single combat, and was victorious in every encounter. And though the Thebans set 50 armed men to lie in wait for him as he went away, he slew all but Maon, and then came to the camp. Having armed themselves, the Argives approached the walls, and as there were 7 gates, Adrastus was stationed at the Homolodian gate, Capaneus at the Ogygian, Ampharius at the Protidian, Hippomedon at the Oncadian, Polynices at the Hypsistan, Parthenopaeus at the Electrian, and Tydeus at the Crinidian. Eteocles, on his side, armed the Thebans, and having appointed leaders to match those of the enemy in number, he put the battle in array, and resorted to divination to learn how they might overcome the foe. Now there was among the Thebans a soothsayer, Tiresias, son of Avares, and a nymph, Chariclo, of the family of Eudaeus the Spartan, and he had lost the sight of his eyes. Different stories are told about his blindness and his power of soothsaying. For some say that he was blinded by the gods, because he revealed their secrets to men. But Pherecydes says that he was blinded by Athena, for Chariclo was dear to Athena. And Tiresias saw the goddess stark naked, and she covered his eyes with her hands, and so rendered him sightless. And when Chariclo asked her to restore his sight, she could not do so, but by cleansing his ears she caused him to understand every note of birds. And she gave him a staff of cornel wood, wherewith he walked like those who see. But Hesiod says that he beheld snakes copulating on Cyllene, and that, having wounded them, he was turned from man into a woman, but that on observing the same snake copulating again, he became a man. Hence, when Hera and Zeus disputed whether the pleasures of love are felt more by women or by men, they referred to him for a decision. He said that if the pleasures of love be reckoned at 10, men enjoyed 1, and women 9. Wherefore Hera blinded him, but Zeus bestowed on him the art of soothsaying. The saying of Tiresias to Zeus and Hera, "Of 10 parts a man enjoys only 1, but a woman enjoys the full 10 parts in her heart." He also lived to a great age. So when the Thebans sought counsel of him, he said that they should be victorious if Menoeceus, son of Creon, would offer himself freely as a sacrifice to Ares. On hearing that, Menoeceus, son of Creon, slew himself before the gates. But a battle having taken place, the Cadmeans were chased in a crowd as far as the walls, and Capaneus, seizing a ladder, was climbing up to the walls, when Zeus smote him with a thunderbolt. When that befell, the Argives turned to flee, and as many fell, Eteocles and Polynices, by the resolution of both armies, fought a single combat for the kingdom, and slew each other. In another fierce battle, the sons of Astacus did doughty deeds. For Ismarus slew Hippomedon, Leiades slew Eteocles, and Amphicus slew Parthenopaeus. But Euripides says that Parthenopaeus was slain by Periclymenus, son of Poseidon. And Melanippus, the remaining one of the sons of Astacus, wounded Tydeus in the belly. As he lay half dead, Athena brought a medicine which she had begged of Zeus, and which she intended to make him immortal. But Ampharius hated Tydeus for thwarting him by persuading the Argives to march to Thebes. So when he perceived the intention of the goddess, he cut off the head of Melanippus and gave it to Tydeus, who, wounded though he was, had killed him. And Tydeus split open the head and gulped up the brains. But when Athena saw that, in disgust, she grudged and withheld the intended benefit. Ampharius fled beside the river Ismenus, and before Periclymenus could wound him in the back, Zeus cleft the earth by throwing a thunderbolt, and Ampharius vanished with his chariot and his charioteer, Baton, or, as some say, Alato, and Zeus made him immortal. Adrastus alone was saved by his horse Arion. That horse Poseidon begot on Demeter, when in the likeness of a fury she consorted with him.